we're just going to have a discussion about the Premier League Hall of Fame.
Oh, let me go on this one.
Right, so before we start, so I want to have a discussion about a player who has not been inducted yet and whether this player has been somewhat slighted in his post-playing day career. And after that, just kind of what you think about the players that have been inducted, and I'll go through the ones that have been inducted since 2001. I'm just going to read off what the criteria is, though, so not anyone can get nominated to be in the Hall of Fame. So you've got to have more than 200 Premier League appearances, selected into any team of the decade or 20-year anniversary team, won a Premier League Golden Boot or Golden Glove, been voted as a Premier League Player of the Season, won 3 Premier League titles, or scored 100 Premier League goals, or as a goalkeeper, recorded 100 Premier League clean sheets.
So you can have any one of those things to be inducted into.
I was about to say, because
you're not going to get all of them. That's the criteria. That's the criteria. So I'm going to tell you the players that have been inducted since its inception in 2021, and then I'm going to mention the player who hasn't been in and whether they should have, or what you feel their stance is. So 2021 was David Beckham, Dennis Bergkamp, Eric Cantona, Steven Gerrard, Roy Keane, Frank Lampard. 2022, Aguero, Drogba, Company, Peter Schmeichel, Paul Scholes, Ian Wright. And just last week, 2023, Tony Adams, Petr Cech, and Rio Ferdinand. So the player I want to talk about is Andy Cole. And Andy Cole has been nominated every year since the inception of this award. And I just want to put out there that this is voted for by the public.
Okay.
So there's no committee. There's not a Premier League committee. So do you think that Andy Cole is suffering from a recency bias?
Yes.
I disagree.
I don't think so.
I disagree.
Because he was around when there was such high-profile other players. So, John, you said yes, he's suffering from recency bias.
Yeah.
Go.
And when I say recency bias, I mean he's not that prominent in like kind of post-career press and stuff, right? He's not that prominent. He's not around that much. I think in his position, other people are a lot more prominent. They're still large personalities. And I don't think Andy Cole had the biggest profile off the pitch anyway. And I think in these things, it matters. And I remember at the time, I was talking to Isaac about it. And this is where your fan voters killed it, actually, because he was explaining to me that in other sports where the Hall of Fame thing's a bit more mature, they drag it out a bit. You don't want all the best players going in the first 2 years, and it's not interested in 10 years or 5 years, which is right.
All right.
So they do drag it out a bit. But if it's down to the fan vote, I do think that him not being as prominent post-retirement has played a part.
All right. I disagree wholeheartedly. Number one, how can you say he wasn't prominent outside of his career? He was a not platinum selling, but he was a recording artist. He released a song and a video. Show me what other players have done that.
What's the name of it?
I can't remember what it was, but I remember the video. He was on his Usher vibe, trying to drive through Manchester, driving through Salford in the drop top. Hold on.
All right, can I clarify that point?
Hold on. And to your other point about he's not prominent now, neither's Tony Adams.
I was gonna mention him.
Neither's Tony Adams. Bro, you see, he had that failed career as a gaffer, and then you see him every once in a blue moon. They drag him out to
a lot of these players
do an Arsenal game or something.
Done much.
Exactly. So I don't see them.
Can I just give my opinion on this one?
Go on.
Of course you can.
I reckon, basically, the only reason why he's not in it is what you said. It started in 2021. It's only been going 2-3 years.
This is it.
If this had been in place since 1995 or whatever, of course he would have been in it. And he will get in it, but it's because obviously this Hall of Fame is very new. So all those players that you mentioned, they're probably all ahead of him in the pecking order. But he's done enough to be a Hall of Famer.
So you would say that Aguero
He was fan voted
ahead of Andy Cole in terms of Premier League stature and performance.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with that. But hey, Mark, what have you got to say?
If it's
Wow.
who does this? It's a fan vote, right?
It's a public vote. So the nominees get released every year, and then it's a public vote into who gets inducted.
There might be an element of recency bias here, but you just when it comes to fans, you just never know which way it's going to swing. So, like Dazza said, eventually he'll get in it. When there's less options, I guess.
But there's other players that should be in it as well, but haven't been put in it
just over time they'll get in it. It's just right now, I mean, I don't know.
It's just a popularity concept.
So let's take
that's the point.
Hall of Fame
popularity contest, basically.
Let's take the Hall of Fame out of the equation.
Just to say, I want to come back to that in a minute because I've got something to say on that. But go on.
Do you still think Andy Cole gets the respect of some of his peers? Because for me,
how does he not? They still talk about him. They're talking about him at the moment.
So I don't think
he's always in the conversation.
So I think if you were to ask the average Joe England fan to name me your top 5 England strikers of the last 25
I don't think
years,
Andy Cole gets in the list.
I don't think Andy Cole.
But he never played. He never had a good England career.
But he wasn't a top English striker.
But I mean like an English striker, and I'd say
sorry.
Yeah,
you said England. I put him in England team.
No, an English striker. I would say the majority wouldn't put him in his top 5. I would because
I agree.
I remember what he's done, etc. But I think a lot of people would go Alan Shearer, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler. I'd say a lot of people put Ian Wright,
Rooney,
and Rooney, where I would have him in my top 5, and I think that's where the slight comes from. But if you go back and look at Andy Cole, he was a
how
he was
can
a shooter.
you not put
I'm
Andy
an
Cole
Arsenal
in
fan,
the top 5 without bruv, he's got 187 Premier League goals.
And that's why
if anyone's not putting him in the top 5,
but that's the conversation. Like for the amount that he's done,
that is crazy.
He doesn't really get the respect publicly that he deserves.
Bro, I'm an Arsenal fan. I started watching Arsenal because of Ian Wright. The fact that Ian Wright got voted into this thing for Andy Cole is mad to me. I'm not going to lie to you. From a Premiership Hall of Fame level, that's madness.
But then it goes back. It goes back to Daryl's point. It's a popularity contest.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying earlier. So the popularity has been maintained by certain things. Even Tony Adams, whether we like it or not, his popularity or he became a meme, innit? He tried the managing thing,
coaching,
the video of him, that goes around every tap. So I think Ian Wright has become a pillar of TV punditry, all the stuff that Andy Cole hasn't really done. Right? Let's be honest. So I do think that yes, it's a popularity contest, and he's always been someone through his own choice as well. This is not me playing violence. He himself has chosen to not be in a certain spotlight, not to do certain things. I'm sure he could have done punditry all this year. He could have jumped on a podcast league, but he's just quietly been going around the world.
Some of it was ill health.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but even when he played, he was never really out there. Never was that kind of socialite player, etc. The people like Betts and Lamps and Gerrard being voted in early doesn't surprise me.
Also, as well, I think his Newcastle career was really good, but it was really early in the Premiership era. So I can understand why it's not as prominent in people's minds as what it is. Like, obviously, he scored 34 goals in the season. And I think the Man United team he played in as well had so many stars, it's easy for him to get swallowed in that team. Like, obviously, him and York had that really good combination. But if you look at that Man United team, you wouldn't automatically go to Andy Cole as your guy, so to speak, in terms of, as John said, the popularity. If you were to say name players in that Man United team, again, I don't think he's going to be in your top 4 or 3 players that you would say, just based on who was in that team at the time. And I think, again, to John's point, because it's a popularity contest, essentially, if it was voted by his peers, I think he would have been in a long time ago.
And one thing to mention, when you go to like the Aguero point and stuff like that, it's iconic moments as well. Those are what people remember, and that's what keeps you relevant. If you've got an iconic moment, like the Aguero moment, that's going to be shown for years and years and years to come. It keeps him relevant in everyone's mind. But with Andy Cole, one thing I do want to get across is he's had a Hall of Fame Premiership career.
Yeah.
Whether he's in it or not, that is a Hall of Fame career.
That's why he's been nominated, because he's had a Hall of Fame career.
5 goals in 1 game.
Bro, even Drogba being there before him. But anyway,
But just to round off this, my view on the Premier League Hall of Fame, right? I think the whole process, I think the whole the way they do it, I think it's a disgrace to me, in my opinion, because it's not. The reason why I say the reason why I say it's disgrace, right? This is meant to be the pinnacle of like you're meant to be celebrating the best players that have come through this Premier League. For however long they do it, right? Yeah. You're meant to be putting them on show and saying, right, these are the names, these are the guys that have really come in and shown out in the league, right? If they didn't do their Insta posts or their little social media posts, you'd never hear about it. Yeah. You'd never know about it. But it needs to be a whole spectacle. It needs to be, like how in the NFL, you know, like how in the NFL where there's a whole place.
Bad vibes.
It shouldn't be.
There's a whole place. Canton. You've got to go to Canton, and it's a whole like.
They would get it wrong though. They would get it wrong.
It doesn't matter. At least try. At least like if I'm a player,
I agree, man.
And if I'm a player who's like, if I'm Rio or whoever, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, like this is it. You've brought me into this little building. You've had me little talk to like these little 10 people. Come like it's a work meeting, and they've just brought people in for a presentation. Like it's
employee of the month.
That's the vibe that it gives off.
I've had a stellar career, like,
and this is how you're showing.
Yeah. I get it, but I think they have to kind of do it the social media route just because of the era that we're in.
Okay, but now, put that to the side. There still needs to be a whole spectacle.
Yeah, it would be good, like if it was at the end of the season or something, and they were like, right, we're gonna have a display, invite all the managers.
You're telling me they can't. I don't know. I'm just picking a random venue. The Royal Albert Hall. You're telling me they can't rent that out?
It should be like the PFA awards. A bit like a PFA awards. It should be a proper.
And the thing is, be a whole spectacle.
It shouldn't be fan voted.
No,
I agree.
It shouldn't be.
I agree.
Or maybe if you're getting fans to vote, that's some of it, but that should never be the whole in or out.
I don't think.
No, I don't think because it can be manipulated, and like you say, in terms of the recency bias, like a lot of the people who are in the kind of social era now are going to be the ones voting, where people my age and upwards.
Exactly.
Unless, like I've never voted in it. Like I've always had something to say, but I've never voted in it.
Exactly. And then you're going to end up with situations where Andy Cole's been nominated 3 times in a row and not being put in because the fans, like you said, this social media era of fans, they're not voting because they don't know Andy Cole.
And the thing is, fans are not. Fans have got their own favourites. There's favouritism, so they're not voting who's better. They're voting who do I like better.
Yeah.
Not who's the better player, not who's had the better career, which it should be decided on.
Another thing as well, you see Andy Cole's era, it was when we were obviously much younger. The demographic of people that use social media nowadays are the younger generation. Like they use it much more, right? So they're going to probably see the vote and vote for whoever, like you said, Daz, who they like better and who they remember. They probably don't remember Andy Cole.
Yeah, that's the point.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not like...
I think...
Go on.
No, so I agree about that. I think it should be a showpiece event. Black tie.
No, it should be.
The whole shebang, bro.
It should be.
Yeah,
the whole night.
It should be.
It's it's on a level or par or even above PFA awards, football writers. It should be the thing every year. And then, as Dad said, the selection process, it should probably be a bit concurrent. So, Fergie and Wenger and Co are in it now. Every year there's that kind of panel that picks the next inductee and then the next inductee. And if you want to get the fans involved, you can say, right, there's 12 nominees a year, 10 are done by the panel, 2 are voted for by the fans. There's ways to do it. Yeah. But I don't, as much as you want to banter and have club rivalries, people like Rio Ferdinand, who all of us widely regard as one of the best centre-backs the country's ever produced, should not be getting inducted in the Hall of Fame in what looks like a COVID era meeting. It looks like that socially distanced. That shouldn't be happening. Yeah, it should be glitz and glamour. It should be on Sky. It should be the whole shebang.
The whole, like, on the big 100-inch screen.
They don't care enough.
They don't care enough. Montage of his. Do you know what I mean?
Where they went wrong.
Players come down and talk about. They started it in COVID times. That's where they went wrong. They started it in lockdown.
No, but they delayed. So it wasn't meant to happen in 2020. But because of COVID, they delayed it till 2021. So
it's just like,
it's understandable. But yeah, I think we can go around this all day. Everyone's got their favourites. Who should be in.